Okay, in this video I'm going to do number 3 in the Powers of X worksheet. I'm not really going to need the rules and properties this time. It's really just practice translating a phrase into a formula. So, the -2 power of -x. And I just want to remind you, and it's kind of obvious inside this worksheet that we're always doing x on the bottom, but just I really want to be clear. Power of x. So often people think that means x is the power, but it really means the power on top of x. So maybe that would be a good way to remember, is just always think of this as on top of. Okay, so the -2 power on top of -x. That's pretty simple then. This is -x to the -2. And then of course you could ask yourself, is there another way to write it? Yes, we've practiced that in numbers 1 and 2. So you could rewrite this as 1 over x squared. And the 1 over is because of the negative power. And the fact I only needed one negative because when you square something, it cancels. But I want to just stop and leave it the way it is so that I don't really get confused with other things. Just this is the phrase -2 power on top of x. All right. Square root of x, that would be x to the 1/2. And that's one that we practiced in number 1. The inverse of x, that would usually be written as 1 over x, but we're writing it as a power, so that's x to the -1. The third root of x, that would usually be written as a root, like this, cube root. Whoops, nothing on the inside. And then we're rewriting that as a power, so that's 1. I'll eventually get it. This is x to the 1/3. The third power of -x. So again, that's the third power on top of -x. So that's just -x to the 3rd. Now, of course, you can rewrite this as something else, and maybe I will just this time. I can take that negative out, and when you cube something that's negative, the result is still negative, so I can put the negative out in front. Last but not least, the square of x. So that would be x squared. So this problem should be pretty simple. I find sometimes people get stuck on it just because it doesn't really take a lot of practice, and they think, oh yeah, I just remember what to do. And then maybe on the test, they freeze up a little bit. So just remember, power of really means power on top of.